And we are back, Chris and Tyler, with the 4th and 22 podcast. We want to apologize for last week. Basically, our whole city
had the internet went out.
Fucking issues with fiber internet. So as we're recording, we couldn't figure out why the shit wouldn't upload and why really anything would work. It wouldn't upload, it wouldn't enhance, it wouldn't do anything. By the time it uploaded, we were just like, fuck it. Just throw it on. We didn't listen to it. It was completely stupid. And the whole second half sounded
sounded rough, but yeah, I'd say the first part I wasn't mad about at all.
So
we do have a lot to cover today. Big week.
Yeah, we are live with some clapping. Little bit premature, but I want to clap for how excited I am for the Bears offseason, but we'll get to that later.
They've had a great one. I'll tell you that.
Our first one, we're going to kind of start with some college basketball. If you see me look away, it's because I do have the players on, and I am kind of watching some shots. I'm ready for the 17th. We almost saw a couple hole-in-ones yesterday. That was crazy. But we're going to start with UNC and Duke. It's arguably one of the most even series in all of sports.
Yeah,
in terms of high-profile teams.
Going neck to neck, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Going neck and neck. So You're a huge Duke fan. I hate both teams.
I am.
No one. It's like the Patriots. Nobody should be that good for that long.
And a lot of it was because of obviously Coach K. I mean, that's a given. We've obviously lost Coach K the last 2 years, and it hasn't had the same success that I feel like a Coach K-led team would have. But I mean, I think we're in good hands with John Shire. He's young. He's early in his career. I just want to give it time. Our recruiting class, like we touched on last week, our recruiting class next year is insane. Now,
let's just look at this: 110 meetings. This is something you shared to me. You were like, "Look at this."
This was as of the last loss. They faced off that night, and UNC had pulled off a victory. So technically, now it's one more to
UNC. So it's 56 to 55 Tar Heels. I don't know what the score of that game was, but points are probably pretty close.
It was decently close. I think it was single digits.
This is absolutely incredible what they've done here.
And it's you know what I mean? And I obviously hate the Tar Heels. I'm not a big fan, but for reasons. But I mean, the respect is there. I mean, they had a Coach K in their own eyes. They had Roy Williams for about the same amount of time. I mean, it was Roy and Coach K. Now it's Herbie Jones and John Shire.
Speaking of that,
I think it's a great rivalry in sports history.
You saw Michigan fire Juwan Howard.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, that's crazy to me.
Well, Elite Eight last year, but I was looking into it because I did see that. They only won 8 games this year and lost their last 9.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's rough. It was rough. I feel like there was a kind of a coach-player interactions there for a little bit. I didn't like some of the tension that was between the coaches and the players. So I just think that it was, somebody had to go, and usually it is the coach.
That's true. It's hard to get rid of players when they're just jumping to the NBA draft.
Exactly, or they go to the transfer portal now.
Now, speaking of NBA draft, we're going to transfer over here. Hold on a second. I got a notification.
Saying what? Eagles are favored to win the Super Bowl?
Huh. That's different. I'm going to save that. Sorry, guys. No notification was crazy there. We're going to switch over, speaking of NBA draft, to Miss Caitlin Clark. Because
she's a bad mamma jamma.
Apparently, some people have stated that they would take her in the NBA draft over Bronny James.
I think it's hilarious. I mean, obviously, that's not realistic.
Well, no. I mean,
But could she compete in the NBA with the way that she
oh,
shoots?
she'd get bodied. Let's not.
I
She'd
mean,
get bodied.
I guarantee she would. She'd do all right for herself. I don't think she's gonna come out here averaging 30, but she's gonna do all right for herself. She shoots. She's arguably the greatest female basketball player ever.
161 threes in a single season, most in any D1 sport all time.
163.
I would really like
Stephen Curry.
I would really like to see how. I would really like to see how these would stack against someone like a Pistol Pete Maravich before the 3-point line was a thing. How many shots he would have taken. Like, I think that would have been really cool. So,
right. I mean, if you watch the 3-point contest, I mean, even Sabrina, I mean, she kept up with Steph. So, well, yeah. I mean, I'd like to see next year. I would like to see Steph, Steph and Damian Lillard pick,
yes, agreed,
be captains, and then they do like a little bet to see who gets the first pick. Take Caitlin Clark or Sabrina, and I feel like that would be a duo that I'd like to see go at it at the 3-point contest.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty cool. I'm pretty excited for it. No, she's not going to play. Obviously, you would take Bronny over her, but I get it. They're saying the skill level that she possesses. Hey, listen,
give Bronny a break. I remember one of my favorite basketball players that's currently playing, Jimmy Butler. If you look back at his Marquette, his first 2 seasons in Marquette, they were rough.
Yep.
They were rough. I mean, 4 to 5 points per game, 4 to 5 rebounds. I mean, it was like 2 to 3 assists. It was rough.
I agree.
I feel like everybody's putting Bronny James Jr. on this pedestal because of who his dad is.
And then that also affects.
And I hate that. And I hate that for him because he's his own person. Do I think that he's going to be his dad? No. I don't. Like I said, it's like an MJ. It's like a Kobe. I don't think we're ever going to get another LeBron. I think he's going to play the game in his own way. And I think that's what everybody should let him do. I mean, he's a freshman in college. A lot of freshmen don't go out there averaging 29, 30 points per game like a Zion or like a Anthony Davis, Karl Anthony Towns. Like, these are premier college players that have come out. That's what his expectations were at when he went to USC, I feel like. It was like, you're going to go out there. You're going to go out there and average 25 points per game in college because of who your dad is. What? What does my dad have to do with it?
That's a very good point. I mean, and I guess that's, I get it, but it's hard to have the drive that LeBron had because he was dirt poor, this, that, and the other, and Bronny's not. He doesn't have to go fight. He could not play basketball.
I mean, I don't think he's a privileged kid.
No, I'm not saying he's spoiled, but
he's had an easier path.
Yes,
I agree with that. I mean, but that was because of the hard work that his dad put in all fairness.
That's true. I mean, his dad put in a lot of work. I'm not taking anything away from LeBron and his 40,000 like we talked about last week, but fuck that shit. Longevity, that right there is its own stat.
I still have yet somebody to send that to me, to send that argument. If you want to pull longevity, well, this player, okay, well, send the argument.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about
send it.
If he's truly the king of points and longevity means nothing, then we should average out everybody to whenever LeBron ends. And let's see who has the most points. Let's see who has the most rebounds, the most assists, all those things. We'll see, because it won't be him. I'll tell you that much.
May or may not be. I haven't done the
Wilt
math.
Chamberlain had seasons averaging, he had like one season averaging 50 fucking points a game.
No.
Yeah.
That's 50.2, I believe.
Yeah, let's just make sure we do 82 games and say LeBron James plays 25 years. You take Wilt stats, you average him out to 25 years. Guarantee, I almost promise you Wilt would have more points by a landslide. It wouldn't even be close.
I'm not putting my name on that fucking paper until I do the research.
And then, well, what's Will? What's Wilt right now in the standings?
I can even tell you that he just passed Kareem, obviously.
Yeah, Kareem's the most all time, and Kareem played 18 years.
Right.
Okay, so let's average Kareem up to whenever LeBron retires. I bet he has more fucking points too.
I mean, LeBron's not done playing either.
No, yeah, that is my point. Let LeBron keep scoring. Let him play. I mean, there's memes where it's like the year's 2087.
I know.
LeBron's going for 80,000 points. He's 86 away, which is exactly it wasn't 80,000 as an exaggeration, but it was like it would exactly double how much Michael Jordan scored. And LeBron thinks at that point nobody can say he's better than me because I doubled his points scored.
Hey, it's going to be a problem. That's the conversation I never want to have.
They kill me with him. Okay, so we're gonna transition here. I just want to. It didn't transition. There was no transition music there. That was stupid. Sorry about that. We're gonna go to a little fun fact of the day. We're actually gonna do this just a little bit early. I want to get this because this is actually really, really funny.
Yeah, I know this is good.
Mac Jones.
Yes. So I'm a big football card fanatic. I have white binders full. I do not actually have this card. But little fun fact for you, in the graphic right here on the screen, this is a 2021. This is the year that Mac Jones got drafted. So this is a rookie card. You see the Donruss, that's the brand. Mac Jones' name. The number 10 over here means it's graded at a 10. So people send their baseball, football, basketball, it doesn't really matter. But these are cards into professional graders. They look at, the tiniest scratch can do the most damage in money. You'd be surprised. Bends, cracks, scratches, dents.
Too, right? That's
the amount that they put into a little cardboard card is insane. However, they're worth money.
They are.
So the PSA 10, it means it's graded at 10. The Donruss rookie card, Mac Jones. And I believe it was November of 21. This card was bought for $3,000. The current value, as of today, is still current losing percentage. I looked it up this morning, 1050. This is 2.5 years. It's now the biggest percentage lost in sports card history.
I really truly think that they thought he was going to be the next Tom Brady and was like, this card's going to be worth $100,000 in 5 years when he wins 2 Super Bowls and we have Bill Belichick and Mac Jones is a backup. Trevor Lawrence now.
The crazy thing about it is the percentage is what blows my mind. It's now at 99.65. That's like giving a penny to somebody and they just it goes nowhere. You might as well just get your penny back.
Yeah, I mean that's literally I mean
I'll take my 1050 now because it ain't.
It's literally you handing me $100 and telling you said, hey, invest this, break it, whatever. And 3 years later, I'm like, hey, here's your 40 cents.
Yeah.
What? Yeah, no, you're done. There's no money. You lost all value. I mean, it's so funny because everybody, even me, I thought he would be something. And there's people like, oh, he's technically
Alabama quarterbacks are tough.
There it is.
They're a hit and a miss.
Yep.
They're definitely a hit and a miss.
So that's a big one. I think that this.
Speaking of college. Speaking of college.
Yes, this is
the breaking news as of yesterday. All 9 FBS teams and Notre Dame have now agreed to, as of right now, a 12 playoff team college playoff in 2026. I got the article right here, so I'm just going to read straight from the ESPN article here. Kind of explain it as we go, so that way everybody knows what we're talking about. But again, all 9 FBS conferences and Notre Dame. Why it says and Notre Dame is because Notre Dame is in charge of all the independence conferences. Like you have your Power Five, and then you have the other conference. It's basically a one big conference when it comes to voting and stuff like that. Okay. Agreed to a contract which will begin in 2026. And bring the sports postseason much closer to an expected 14 team. Now, the specialty of this is that like I said, you have your Power Five conferences. So you're going to have ACC, Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, and the highest ranked group of 5. So that means like all the independent Sky, Notre Dame, obviously, because they're independent. You know what I mean? You can throw a lot of teams in there. Okay. They're going to earn playoff berths. So they're going to get the top 5 seeds in the 14-team playoff bracket. From there, the remaining 9 will be the next highest ranked teams. Okay, so again, and we had this argument earlier. So you could have some Florida. You could have Florida, right? Maybe they get a sneak in the SEC championship, right? They win. They beat Alabama.
And you're talking.
They get an automatic playoff berth into the playoffs.
And in this scenario, this is what I like, because let's say that Florida does they're in the SEC, right? Correct? Or are they in the ACC? Yeah, they're not in the ACC, right? Florida.
SEC.
Yeah.
SEC.
So let's just say they're ranked number 24, and someone loses ahead of them that puts them in the SEC championship game. Okay?
Right.
They win. Bama's ranked number 2. So now I don't have to hear Bama fans bitch, because Bama's probably not going to drop out of the top.
No, and they'll still they'll still go to the playoff.
But then a team like Florida that would have been on the outside, because they're not in the top 9 outside of automatic bids, now gets to come in. I think
it's more like a mixture of, how I view it, is a mixture of, honestly, NCAA basketball and NFL, if that makes sense.
Truly what they should have done,
playoff-wise.
Yes, they should have, in my opinion, I would have incorporated all the conference championship games into the bracket. So instead of there being a 14-team playoff, it's truly all the conferences are playing, and the winners get the spots. Like, I think that would have been dope. But then you run it. I mean, I don't know how many conferences there are either. There could be 7, and that's 7 spots. But the Power 5 is fine. But, I mean, regardless, you could incorporate those into the brackets too. I mean, I think it's going to a point to where they're going to end up having 20, 22, 24 team playoffs.
The Pac-10 and Notre Dame gave their control to the Big Ten and the SEC, because it was more of described as like a give and take situation.
Got you.
For them, you know what I mean? Like, hey, thanks for letting us be here. We don't want to be in this decision. Just do whatever you feel is necessary. And like I said, they kind of gave their say-so to the Big Ten and the SEC. So that's why they have the majority control over how this really plays out. Like I said, the
Big Ten and the SEC are like, because
they have the biggest conferences. Not to mention, like I just said, they just now got Notre Dame and the Pac-10's okay to say, hey, they speak for us.
Yeah, so I read something where it's like they're trying to work out where the Big Ten and SEC get the number 1 and 2 seed. Regardless, the Big Ten and SEC champion get the first 2 seeds. And
yes,
I'm like,
I mean, I think it honestly at that point should come down to record. I mean, I feel
Yeah.
like it should be the NFL playoff
Mm-hmm.
format. Yeah, okay, you won your conference, you won your division, cool.
Well, and their
But
argument
then they go by
is
record because I mean you can't. I just don't think you can have a 7-9. You know what I mean? Like a 7-9 team is a 1 seed. That doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Like
that's true, yeah.
if it would be an upset in the SEC and like I said, Florida were to do something
they
like that,
shouldn't get the number 1 or 2 seed.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And in that regard, they'd get
I mean,
the
if they
number
go
2.
13, if they go 13 and whatever, okay, cool. But they have to have. They can't have a 500 record. They have to have a decent, good argument for them being number 1. Besides them being in the SEC or the Big Ten.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. You're just that's not going to work. So that's exciting. I'm excited for it. I've looked forward to them probably implementing this now that NCAA 25 is coming out. I'm loving that.
So
Excited
fucking
for that.
excited. Goodbye, Madden. Sorry.
Yeah. Well,
NCAA
I'll still play. Now I got Barkley on the Eagles. We'll get ready to touch into that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll play Madden for the fact that I can.
But you can do so much more on. You can do so much more on NCAA. I mean, just the whole dynasty experience is so much better.
It's more of a challenge. You're recruiting, trying to get good prospects, build your program up, and as long as you're not playing on some bitch settings, it's actually kind of hard, kind of difficult. So well, and this gets to the best part of the show. When we come back, we are going to be discussing all things.
Hold on, let me give a quick shout out here.
Oh, sorry.
I know you don't watch a lot of college basketball. You're an Illini fan, so like you know what I mean. You kind of watch around March Madness time. They're looking good this year, though. They're looking good. Maybe a Purdue rematch coming up this weekend. However, 3 teams this year's tournament have received their first ever bid into the NCAA tournament. And I just wanted to give a quick shout out. The Stenson University, the men's side. This is their first ever bid. Texas A&M Corpus Christi got their first bid ever. And Presbyterian got their first bid ever. So congrats guys.
That's awesome.
Hey, it's a hell of an atmosphere, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, let's just hope they can win some. God,
like I said, those teams, those 16 seeds you got to watch out for, man.
So
Purdue knows about that.
So with that being said, Selection Saturday's coming up. Obviously, we're going to have our show out before Selection Saturday happens. So Chris and I will do our brackets that night, and we'll figure out some way to do a quick, like, this is what we're doing, this is our bracket, and we're going to roll with it. Also, starting next week, I want to say this before I do forget because I'm always high. We are going to start doing actual NFL mock drafts. So, with that being said, we're going to
start with no trades. We're going to start with no trades first.
Trades are hard to predict.
There's going to be like 7 or 8 trades in the first round. I can guarantee you that.
I really wonder if there's a betting line for this.
No, I'm not.
If there is a betting line
Minnesota is gearing up. Minnesota is gearing up for something fierce, boys. I'm telling you that right now. They got 2 first rounders. They're going to be like, here, take JJ and the number 23 pick, and we'll take. I'm telling you right now, it's gearing up. Something nasty's going to happen.
Look, I am a Bears fan.
You thought this free agency was big. Wait till the JJ gets traded to Cincinnati.
Everyone's like, hey, probably like he's a fucking bandwagoner. I'm wearing a JJ jersey.
He's just wearing some dumb shit.
Hey, fuck you. I will explain why I'm wearing the JJ jersey when we come back from break with football and fantasy and what I think the Vikings are going to do with their 2 first-round picks that they just got. So when we come back... Heck, 4th and 22 podcast. We are powered by Riverside FM audio.
I love this app.
This is their little cool intro that they sent us to use if we wanted to. I like it.
Yeah, I like it.
right there on your phone. Hell yeah. Dope as shit.
Yeah, I agree.
And then it just takes us right back here. Okay, that's awesome. Let's get started with some football. What do
Big
you
time
got?
football.
What do you got on the docket for us? What's our first one?
So right now, just a couple things to go over, right? Obviously this big conversation, this whole tampering investigation for the Philadelphia Eagles and the Atlanta Falcons are kind of it's heating up. Now, I will give my siding of it and the way I see it, I should say.
What is this
But
one for again? Or what do
the,
we
the the tampering investigation, I
Oh,
don't yeah,
yeah.
we don't got no visual for it, but okay, so this is obviously, if you've been paying attention or if you've been living under a rock, welcome to Earth. This has been the biggest free agency in probably NFL history. Running
The
backs are
craziest. Oh
playing,
yeah.
yeah, running backs are playing musical chairs. You got quarterbacks switching teams, signing big contracts. A couple wide receivers being traded. Defensive players are signing huge contracts. I mean, it's been insane. It's been a busy 3 days. Um, Now, with that being said, I do think it would be questionable if Roger Goodell sat back and said, I didn't see nothing. I do understand the fact of the Eagles were the first and the Atlanta Falcons were the second signings of free agency with all within under 10 minutes.
Crazy.
Yeah, under 10 minutes, which I understand. Okay, and this is my philosophy from this, okay? As a player, before free agency starts, you as a person mentally can say, these are my top destinations. The Giants absolutely did Saquon Barkley wrong. And this is where it frustrates me because Giants fans are burning his jerseys and it's just it's a whole nine. But at the same time, you need to look at your franchise. Okay. They paid the wrong guy. We've said that how many times on this show? You paid the wrong guy. You're now eating that contract and possibly
Mm-hmm.
could be drafting in the draft again. So my question to you is, didn't they just trade for a backup too? Giants?
Let me look at the roster while you're talking because
Yeah,
I
it's,
think they
it's
did.
Daniel Jones. It's Daniel Jones and somebody, but it made me feel better that Daniel Jones was starting because I have him in fantasy. But
Yeah,
regardless,
they had picked up somebody, and you were
yeah,
like, that makes me feel good that they're gonna roll with Danny
yeah.
Dimes.
But still, you're eating that contract, and Danny Dimes is not a $160 million quarterback, and I said that last year. You franchise tag Saquon, and you devalue somebody's confidence
Oh, they
in
got
when you
Drew
do that.
Lock.
Drew Lock, yes, that's
Yeah.
correct. You deter somebody's confidence in themselves when you're like, hey, we don't really think you're worth the 4-year extension. We just want to franchise tag you and see how it goes. That's how I
Yep.
feel franchise tag is. Yeah, hey, we'd like you here, but you're not our top priority. And that's just what it is. So as a Giants fan, you can't be frustrated with Saquon. You need to look at the franchise and say, why did we pay Daniel instead of Saquon? Now, Saquon, if you didn't know, went to Penn State University. Home to homegrown, the roots right there with Philadelphia.
I do
He,
want to point out something really quick to all
yes.
the potential viewers. If Saquon did not sign with the fucking Eagles, it would not be this extensive of a conversation
No,
because
it,
you are trying to
no,
defend your
because
Eagles.
no, because I'm about to say the same thing for Kirk. Saquon Barkley in an Eagles uniform makes sense. It just does. Just as much as Kirk Cousins in an Atlanta uniform makes sense. Kirk Cousins was not built from Minnesota. Kirk Cousins is the swaggiest white guy I've ever fucking seen in my life. He will fit fine in Atlanta. He will fit absolutely fine. I think that's what it was for both of them. I think it was for where do I fit in the best? Not only where can I win, but where do I fit in? And I think they both hit it on the head. I do.
I'm not disagreeing that, but the
And
argument
it is suspect. Like I said, the
the
timing is
argument
suspect.
the argument being portrayed is that we shouldn't be in trouble, and neither should the Falcons, because let's just be honest, they were coming here anyway.
And that's what I'm.
But rules
I get it. I
are
get it.
rules.
I get it. Rules are rules. You are correct.
If Saquon talked to that Penn State coach, who then talked to literally any person in the Eagles facility, it will be deemed tampering. Kirk Cousins saying he had contact with somebody on the
Kirk's the
coaching
one
staff.
that fucked it all up. Kirk's the one that fucked it all up.
Yeah, I mean, Kirk can go buy a house in Atlanta because his wife's from there. He can do all these things. Everybody can just say, yeah, he's going to Atlanta. And nothing happens until...
I'm just buying a house. What are you talking about?
I'm just buying a house. I might sign here, but my wife's from here. I'm going to buy a house. Saquon could have bought a house in Philly. I mean, the tampering period was created to not allow this to happen. Because teams are... What I read was that teams were trying to sign players before free agency started, because then they'd become free agents. And other teams were calling them like, hey, don't sign with them. We got you a really good deal. And that would be about 50-50, depending on who hit the market and who didn't. I don't know if that article was true or not, but the tampering period is basically, hey, you tell your agent where you want to go before free agency starts, and you can communicate with those teams and judge interest. I don't know if there's any cap on like what you can say and how much you can talk, but I'm pretty sure it has to be the agent to the team, and then the team to the agent, and then the agent to the player. Right. And it can't be anybody else.
Correct.
So, yes, they ended up where they should have ended up. But you're both going to lose first-round picks.
Listen, like I said, like I told you earlier, all I better know is, and I know Atlanta Falcons fans agree with me, you better have physical evidence to show a text message, a phone call between two people at a date. I would take a phone stamp. You know what I mean? Like, oh, to this number, and then it'd be proven that it's Saquon's. But other than that, like,
well,
I'm not accepting the punishment if you can't prove that
Roger Goodell doesn't give a fuck what anybody else thinks. If he says it's tampering, nobody's changing his mind.
I don't give a shit what he thinks.
That dude, I swear to God, he's like in the mafia, because nobody challenges Goodell. Nobody. He is not a dictator. That's a little.
I mean, at the end of the day, do I think that Barkley is worth a first? I would rather them not take our first this year.
Well, it would be this year. You lose a pick in the draft.
Well, they can have next year. We're gonna make a deal. We're negotiating. We're not accepting first terms available.
You're just gonna call up Howie. Hey, Howie, look, you're really good.
Look, listen, just work the books, bud. Work the books.
Howie's like, there is no negotiation. Well, no, look, there is. You're gonna tell them, well, this is what we're doing. And he's like, who the fuck are you? Just listen, Howie. You need to listen.
Just listen to me. This is how we do it.
Okay, so I want to get into what I deem as I personally, and I'm glad you shared this photo, the most impactful signing of this free agency. I truly, and we kind of argued about this yesterday when we were talking about it, because my thing is, your argument was obviously running wasn't the issue. But I disagree, because if you have a mobile quarterback and a dynamic running back, that's more potent than a dynamic quarterback and some RB2s. Keaton Mitchell's an RB2 in the NFL. RB2, bottom ends, RB3. I mean, he's a boomer bust. Gus Edwards, he's not there anymore. So, with that being said, looking at this, Derrick Henry's got the most carries, the most yards, and the most rushing touchdowns. Is he going to be the same Derrick? He looks like he lost a small step, like maybe a half step. He's still the most physically dominating back probably since Jamal Lewis and the bus. So can his body take it? Yeah, I think with modern medicine, the way he takes care of his body, he adds something to that offense that is going to open up Zay Flowers downfield. Because now, when they're running that option, you're going to have Derrick Henry, and then you're going to have Lamar Jackson. You could have Zay Flowers on an end around. I think they lost Duvernay in free agency.
Yeah, he went somewhere else. I can't remember
Yes.
where, but he went somewhere.
So they're going to have to get another receiver.
I agree. I do think Henry on the Baltimore Ravens definitely was an upgrade for them. Where my problem is so, I mean, you have teams like the Bears, the Eagles. You have teams like arguably the Giants that are filling holes that are needs. Okay. Where I'm at with Baltimore is Baltimore's always been able to run the ball. That's never really been nobody's ever come up and said, hey, Baltimore cannot run the ball. That's just never been a thing. It's, hey, Baltimore didn't run the ball, or they ran the ball really well. And that's been with B minus C plus running backs. You have J.K. Dobbins, who came in and was probably a B running back in grade value. Now he obviously can't stay healthy, so that's a concern. You have Keaton Mitchell, this is his second year in the league. He's obviously got the speed.
Ripped his knee apart.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the speed to keep up with it if he has it anymore. Had a nasty knee injury. Now you got, on this roster, you got Derrick Henry, Keon Mitchell, and Justice Hill. In the past, they were rocking with Edwards, Dobbins, stuff like that.
Just Edwards, random
backs. I mean, so to me, and I think they even had
and they signed Dalvin Cook too. I think he was on their roster.
Le'Veon Bell for a little bit, and it would just yeah. But I mean, my point is they didn't. I don't really think they fixed a need. I feel like they have a couple holes on defense that could have been filled, especially after losing Patrick Queen. Which brings me to my next point. Derrick Henry may be in Baltimore, but if there's one team that's not going to be afraid to stack the box and tackle his ass, it's Pittsburgh.
Well, and I think that was the reason why they saw because I'm almost positive Patrick Queen came after Derrick Henry.
I think it was the other way around. I think Patrick Queen went to Pittsburgh first.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think because Derrick Henry was one of the last big signings. I mean, there's been trades, but one of the last big signings was Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I mean, I think that best way to put it is I think the Steelers knew the Ravens were getting a back. They were going to go sign somebody. Right. And they looked at Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry and they're like, okay, we got to shore up defense because they're going to be able to run and run and run.
Yeah.
So they're like, let's go get a Baltimore Raven.
Yeah.
So now, if I'm not mistaken, Bryce Huff was signed by the Philadelphia Eagles, correct?
Correct. Yeah, one of my favorite signings, actually. Everybody thinks I'm
and don't worry,
Barkley, which I am.
We are going.
Bryce Huff is my favorite.
We are also going to be talking fantasy here soon. But just so everybody knows, Huff played on 82.2% of the Jets' third down defensive snaps versus just 30.2% in the early downs.
Yes. Yeah, no, and that's I was talking to Braden the other night at Pool League, and we were talking about it, and we were talking about Bryce Huff, and he's like, well, 10 sacks, okay, that fills a need. And I'm like, no, but what you're not understanding is he was coming off the bench.
Yeah.
His snap rate and the count. Yeah, it's
he was a rotation.
Yeah, he was a
rotation
guy.
He was out there on third down for a reason.
Correct.
Yeah, he was out there for.
You know what I mean? But yeah, to have 10 sacks, and this graphic shows it. Pressure rate leaders in last season, minimum of 250 pass rushes, right?
Yep.
So
Micah Parsons,
you got
who's
Micah
an all-pro,
Parsons, who's an all-pro
linebacker.
linebacker. Josh Allen, all-pro.
Trey Hendrickson,
Hendrickson goes up in Cincinnati. He's a good DE. Nick
Bonito.
He's Bonito.
He's a little younger.
He's a little younger, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Who? I'm sorry.
Nick Bonito
for Denver.
I think he's a little younger. I can't remember how young he is, but I think he was drafted not too long ago by Denver. But again, Bryce Huff, if you look at the percentage pressure rates,
Bryce Huff
leads with 21.8.
Next is Micah Parsons
with 21.3.
Yep.
So I mean,
Elite pass rusher.
you're paying for what? Production?
I'll
I'll pay for production.
So on definitely half the snaps, he outproduced Micah Parsons in terms of pressure rate.
Yeah.
Which is just absolutely crazy.
Which I mean, and again, like we had talked about, is it because he was playing on the Jets defense? I mean, he's going from a great defense to a good defense. I feel like he's went to a defense that he helps.
Yep, agreed.
Too. It's not. You know what I mean. So now you get the starting snaps, you get your contract. I like it.
Let's move on. For some reason I had lost internet there for a second, so I hope it doesn't mess with anything.
Yeah, it was in and out there for a second.
Yeah, that was a little weird. Our next one.
We hit on.
Let's
We hit on.
Let's move to your rivals really quick, because for the last 3 years, it's been the Cowboys and the Eagles vying
out of the NFC East. Yeah.
Minimum, maybe even 4
East.
years. I mean, the Giants haven't been good in a hot minute.
So everybody.
I
mean,
including myself, because I'm an Eagles fan and it's just in me. Has been on the Cowboys' tail about the offseason that they have not produced.
Correct.
And
they have no money.
Let me take a
to
step
spend.
back here.
Right.
Let me take a step back here. Okay. I'm gonna put my. I mean, there's no
no
multiverse in the whole world that this would ever happen. Okay, so let's not get it twisted. But hypothetically, let's say that I'm a Cowboys fan. Okay. Yes, am I frustrated? Yes.
For the
reasons that you all think that it is, no.
You guys had
nine All Pros last year. 9.
That is the most.
In 15 to 16 years.
You guys have
the talent.
Where your problem is the quarterback.
It's not the coaches.
It's not the talent.
It's not the talent.
I'm telling you now.
My problem
is you are not
going to win.
You are not going to
make an NFC championship
with Dak
Prescott as your quarterback.
You're not going to.
You're not going to. It just is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, CeeDee Lamb can put. I mean, what was the team that it was maybe 10 some years ago? They did phenomenal all the time in the regular season. It was fucking Manning. That's right.
And that's Dallas
dominating.
Football. But my problem is,
but losing the
you have to look at yourself, and you have to realize how long are we okay with mediocrity?
I'm sorry,
but we don't play in the NFL to win division titles.
We play in the NFL to win.
We play in the NFL to win Super Bowls.
That's true.
That's
just the way that it goes.
We go after the
Lombardi Trophy. Some teams are bull or bust at this point. Kansas City, bull or bust. Eagles, bull or bust. Baltimore at this point may be bull or bust. I mean, there's a few teams that, you know what I mean? Like there are teams that these are their expectations.
Dallas every year.
Oh, we're going all in. This is our year. Blah 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 blah. You know what the definition of insanity is?
It's repeating the same thing, expecting different results.
Repeating the same thing and expecting different results.
Now, if you think about it, they did the opposite. They always spend money in the offseason, and now they didn't spend any money.
Because they had no money to spend.
Maybe Jerry Jones is playing chess, and we're all just thinking he's
just as of yet. Jerry Jones ain't lifted a fucking chess piece in about 8 years.
But he can't even see
the chess piece on the board.
Listen.
They just released Michael Gallup and Van Der Hesch yesterday.
Talent-wise
on a roster.
I still think
that they are a top 5 roster in talent.
It's just in following through with that.
It's just
It's the fact that you've had quarterbacks like Aikman, Romo, Dak Prescott.
And
if you're a blinded Cowboy fan, let me let you in on a little reality. They're all the same quarterback.
I mean, it is what it is.
You can watch film all you want. Aikman, Romo, and Dak Prescott. You guys have a type.
Yeah, no.
And it's a toxic one.
Well,
it's time to end the toxic relationship.
Well, and why
you guys need to invest in a quarterback.
Because Aikman had Emmitt Smith and the greatest offensive line arguably ever, and
Michael Irvin. I mean, he had, and it's been the same result.
They make it.
They win a division title. They make it to the playoffs. First round exit or divisional exit.
This is what it is.
This is what it is.
True.
Every single year. But like I said, what's the definition of insanity?
It's true.
That's where, like I said, if I was a Cowboys fan, that's where my frustrations would be. How many years do we have to sit through this? Everybody else is making moves. Everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's gearing up.
Everybody's gearing up for a war. Everybody is gearing up for the apocalypse. And here's Dallas just saying, "Yep, I'm just going to sit in my house with my pistol and I'll be all right."
So let's talk about who's made some good moves. And that's
where do you rank them? Where do you rank them in the NFC? Let me ask you that.
The Cowboys?
Cowboys. Yeah. Can you name? I mean, where do you rank them in the NFC?
So I have the 49ers are better than them.
There's one.
I think the Packers this year might be better than them.
The Packers are on my list.
The Packers are on my list. Especially after the Josh Jacobs signing. Jordan Love's about to have a year.
I think the Lions are better than them.
Yeah. Okay. I'd agree with that.
The Eagles are better than them.
Okay. There's 4.
I would say, in terms of talent, I would group the Cowboys in with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Atlanta Falcons, and
I feel like they're better than both of those.
See, I think the Bucs are good. The Bucs with Baker are good. Give them another year.
Oh yeah, with Baker, yes.
Give them another year in that offense, another year with Mike Evans, another year with Godwin. Otten should pop off this year. At
Rashad White gets his shot.
White played really good last year. He's gonna play good again this year. The Vikings, Kirk Cousins tore his Achilles. Okay,
still made that paycheck.
He's still potentially a gunslinger. They have great weapons.
Oh, him in that offense was going to be insane.
But they haven't proven anything, just like the Cowboys. So the Lions proved they can get to the NFC championship game. The Eagles proved they can get to the Super Bowl. The Niners proved they can get to the Super Bowl. The Packers are on the doorstep, and Love is a great quarterback. They found their guy.
Let me
ask you this. Last question in that division.
I have a personal opinion.
And I have a personal opinion on this too.
Do you think that
the Detroit Lions window has already been shut?
Goff's only 28. Gibbs and Monty are relatively young in collective age. Amon-Ra St. Brown is young. Jameson Williams is young. They have Laporta, who was a rookie last year. The whole defense is young. I don't think losing CJ DJ is that big of a deal in terms of I think their defense is good enough without him. He missed a lot of time, and they still won games. So, truthfully, like I said, I got the Bears roped in with the Cowboys, the Bucks, and the Falcons as like the next 4 teams in that tier of. I got about 10 teams in the NFC that could make a playoff push. Only 7 are going to make it. So I got the Bears as team 8. I think the Falcons are better than the Bears with Kirk Cousins because while I want Fields to come back, you just don't know who the quarterback's going to be. And if we have a rookie, we have a rookie quarterback, we're going to have those games that we lose because he's a rookie. If we keep Fields and he improves like he has each of the last 3 seasons, now he's got Keenan Allen. Now he's got 2 tight ends. Now he's got DJ Moore. Right now we have Tyler Scott in the slot, but you could trade back and you could draft Marvin Harrison Jr., you could draft a Malik Neighbors. You could even trade so far back and get an Xavier Worthy, someone who could really take the top off. And then you add in DeAndre Swift, partnered with Khalil Herbert. I think Herbert's just not a number one back. I think that team's really good. The defense is already really good, and we added Kevin Byard. So trading for Keenan Allen definitely allows us flexibility in the draft of what type of receiver we can take if we don't take Caleb Williams. Because then I think you can go receiver with your first pick, or offensive line with your first pick, and receiver with your ninth pick. I think you could even trade back from the ninth and get Brian Thomas Jr. at like pick 16, pick 17. Maybe get back that fourth rounder. Maybe get an extra second. Maybe get a third. So I think the Bucks, Falcons, and Cowboys would make the playoffs with the Lions, the Packers, the 49ers, and the Eagles. I think the Bears are right there, but I think the NFC's stacked, straight stacked.
And that's where I'm at. A lot of people say the NFL is run by the AFC. I think that changes this year.
The Chargers are depleted on defense, and their whole offense is different. Yep. The Dolphins.
I mean, out of the AFC, I can tell you right now, it's going to be the Chiefs and Baltimore. It has to be Chiefs and Baltimore in the championship.
I mean,
I can't think of any other. Texans might give somebody a shock, but the Dolphins, I think their defense depleted. I think the Bills, especially if Diggs is traded, the Bills are done.
I do think that the Texans are good in the AFC. I think you got about 4 or 5 real good teams in the AFC. Maybe,
but I think you got a good 10 in the NFC. I think
the Steelers, depending on Russ's play, are a really good team. Really good team.
Yeah.
They have.
I think the defense. The defense does carry them to wins. So I mean, they just need
new offensive.
Somebody to
once
get in the
they
ball.
got rid of their offensive coordinator, they ran the ball a lot better. They have 2 solid backs.
I agree.
One was a first rounder and Najee Harris. Yeah, they got rid of Deontay Johnson. They're going to have to draft a receiver. But yeah, I mean.
Yeah, they only really have George Pickens and Pat.
Yeah, I mean, so you got to get another receiver for Russ.
Yeah.
The Browns should be good. Their defense is good enough to make them a contender 10, 11, 12 wins. It's how is Deshaun Watson going to play? He has.
How he's going to respond?
How is Chubb going?
They should have resigned Flacco. I'm shocked that they didn't.
And how is Chubb going to come back? If Chubb comes back like Chubb, you now have Jerry Jeudy, Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, Njoku, Chubb, and Ford. Solid offense. So I think you got about 5 should be really good teams in the AFC, but you got about 10 in the NFC. So yeah, that's where I'm at. So since we're talking about football, about to switch to fantasy, I'm wearing the Vikings jersey because I had Justin Jefferson the year I won our league championship. And for some fucking idiotic reason, I traded him to get Justin Fields. Stupid, idiotic, moronic. It was dumb. Okay? And that wasn't the whole trade. There was more involved. I got more out of it. But I just got Jefferson back. So to show my love and support for JJ, I wanted to rep him on the podcast today. Now the Vikings.
I think you got a great
deal.
Let
me jump into this real quick because I think this is going to have some big fantasy implications. I think the Vikings got that second first.
They're gearing up. I'm telling you right now. They're making a splash. I think it's either going to be
Drake May at 3,
or JJ at 5. Whichever team they can get a better deal for. I think that's the 2 quarterbacks.
As a GM, it's better to say, look, we're going to get who is projected to be the generational talent because you don't want a Trubisky.
I don't think it's going to be number 1. I don't.
I think that they could.
I don't. And this is why. Drake May fits a Minnesota quarterback. Okay. And New England, I think, prefers Bo Nix over anybody. So if New England has no worries of trading back, they could probably get him at the end of the first, if not early second.
I think they prefer Bo.
I think they prefer Bo Nix over anybody. So there's no reason. I mean, if Marvin Harrison Jr. falls to them, I could see them selecting him. But if they're, I could see Minnesota trading up to 3 to either grab both of them. I mean, they both could go at number 3. But I think that Drake May fits in Minnesota a lot better than J.J. McCarthy does. Just the way that he throws. He could get, I mean, if J.J. doesn't leave, who's to say J.J. doesn't want to play with another J.J. or Drake May?
If you're jumping up to 5 to reach for JJ when you could get him at 12 or 13 potentially, or even 8, I mean,
I don't think that you are though.
Oh,
I'm telling you, I think JJ is going to be the reach of the draft. JJ will go in the top 10.
Well, no, and that's a reach. He's only going in the top.
And that's what I did. Yeah, it's going to be a reach of the draft. It really is. But somebody is going to go up and grab JJ. I can guarantee it.
If you think about the trade for number 1 last year, you get DJ Moore, you get some picks, that turns into Keenan Allen. I think that frees up the Bears to say, hey, either Minnesota calls or maybe the Bears call. Bears are like, do you want Caleb? And the Vikings are probably going to say yes because of the hype. And the Bears are going to say, hey, give us 11, give us 23, throw in a future first or second. Because you are moving back a lot. And you're not getting the player in DJ Moore. You could
I think giving up 11 and 23 is nutty.
Oh no, I think that's something that
if I'm Minnesota, I'm rocking at 11. I can take my best available player. I could probably grab Bo Nix or Penix Jr. at 23.
Shit, that's just. I think they're both second round talents. I just think that.
That's what I'm saying. If you're going
to reach, why trade both of the fucking picks? Why not just reach on your own picks?
It's really.
That's just my philosophy.
It's really in the Bears' hands because
it is.
We don't know what's going to happen with Fields. We don't know if anything's going to happen with Fields, but. Regardless, I think DJ Moore's a top 10 fantasy receiver. I think Keenan Allen's a top 10 fantasy receiver. Are they both going to be top 10? Probably not. But I think it's...
No, not with Justin. No offense, but I'm not saying this disrespectfully, but not with Justin Fields at the quarterback.
I mean, shit, I was wrong last year. We finally gave him...
I know, but I'm just saying in retrospect, if he had a gunslinger like Kirk Cousins or Aaron Rodgers or somebody that's going to drop back and throw it 40 to 45 times a game, then I could see them both being top 10 relevance.
Well, I mean, it depends.
With Justin Fields having in the 900 yards rushing and just the way the flow of the offense,
see, I
don't see them both being top 10.
Swift, you're going to see a lot more.
And that's even worse.
That's even worse. Adding Swift into that.
I think the thing you're going to see is Fields is going to, for fantasy purposes, I own Fields. For any Fields owner, I think you're going to see Fields throw his first time ever throwing for 3,000 yards, playing a full season, and he'll probably throw on about 400 or 500 rushing yards. And I think the fantasy points are going to be: is he going to throw 21 touchdowns? Or is he going to throw 29 or 30? And who are those going to? And so it's all about that offense, how they're going to play. But I do think adding Keenan Allen, they're going to be looking at Field. It's either to say, hey, Caleb, come play for Chicago. We got you some weapons.
Yes.
Or it's going to be, hey, Fields, stop fucking running and throw the goddamn ball. And so that's kind of where I'm at with that. I got Fields as a top 10 quarterback again. If he plays the full season, I think he's a top 10 fantasy quarterback.
I mean, he's definitely got the weapons to be one. I don't think there's really an excuse for him not to be.
And I think that defense is going to create a lot of turnovers. Montez Sweat, I still want to sign Chase Young. I think that's a huge one. So with that, let's go into fantasy. Let's highlight a couple players. Pitts has been unimpressive.
To start of his career, but I mean, what are you going to do when you've had Tyler Heineke and Desmond Ridder
and has Drake London?
Yeah.
Do we both think that they're top 10 in their position with Kirk Cousins? I got Kyle Pitts as a top 10. I do not.
Tight ends are easy. Tight ends are easier to say top 10
I'll give you this.
than wide
I think
receivers.
this is a potential top 6. He's a tight end 1. I think
with Kirk probably.
I think Drake.
I would say
Drake
so.
London's probably in a 12-man league.
I would say top 15.
Yeah, he's like a high-end wide
the
receiver
farthest
2.
that I'd go.
I think he's gonna
uptick from last year,
yeah.
which I agree with. But I mean, they just signed Darnell Mooney. They got Rondell Moore in that trade from Arizona the other day.
They are gearing up.
They're giving Kirk his weapons. He's got a slot, he's got a deep route, and he's got Drake London, who's a physical wide receiver, and then you got Kyle Pitts going across the middle. There's one he's going to look one way or the other, and there's going to be hopefully somebody open.
So, with that being said, let's do a little exercise. Who do you have as your number 1 QB for the 2024 season as it sits right now? I think I have mine, and this would be more so for like
number 1 fantasy
quarterback.
It's hard to say.
Anybody other than Patrick Mahomes right now.
I mean, he is the best quarterback.
He is the best quarterback in the league. They just added Marquise Brown, Travis Kelce, Rasheed Rice.
Pacheco's good.
They could still draft an Xavier Worthy or Troy Franklin in the first round.
Yeah, you're on the same boat as me. You do think that?
I want to say no.
I want to say no.
I don't. I want
to say, oh, Mahomes kind of dropped to 2 or 3, but
who do you see being better? Seriously, it's gonna be hard.
It is going to be difficult.
It is going to be difficult.
I could see in a high-scoring offense. I could see the Dolphins. I could see Tua fantasy-wise because
if Tua would have been, I think Tua would have been last year.
Well, maybe, but people can build and get better.
I agree.
So,
you're going to laugh and you're not going to like what I had to say, but if coached correctly and ran properly, arguably Jalen Hurts should be in the MVP conversation.
Like I said, it's
the other way around. I mean, everywhere you're going to look, you're either handing the ball off, an RPO situation, you're running it yourself. You got Smith, Brown, Devontae Parker, Dallas Goedert, Saquon Barkley.
Like I said,
I'm a Jalen Hurts fan, but there's no excuses this year. He should return back to 2022 form. You had 1 off year.
Yep.
That's fine. I'll forgive you for that. The 20 turnovers has got to stop.
Agreed.
It's more of which Jalen Hurts are we going to get?
Yep.
Are we going to get 22 MVP where he went to the Super Bowl? And you know what I mean? But they started hot this year. They went 10-0 and then absolutely had a collapse.
Now, for anybody in their dynasty leagues getting ready for their drafts, we talk about the number 1 quarterback. I know you want to say Hurts.
It's possible. Like I said, but if I'm putting
4,000 yards,
if I'm putting money on anybody right this second, like Mahomes. If I had to put life savings or a gun held to my head, whatever you want to say, it is Mahomes.
Yeah, so let's.
Until proven otherwise, I can't say.
So this
Josh Allen's kind of maybe in that picture, but the Bills just look rough. Their defense is no longer even remotely close in the same region.
Josh Allen
possibly could lose Stephon Diggs. He lost Gabe Davis.
So I don't know.
Him and Dalton Kincaid can only lick up so much.
I think we're in a lot of the same fantasy football groups. In one of them, there was somebody who had Gibbs, and this is going to make you sick. He trades Gibbs.
I had Gibbs
too.
He
trades Gibbs. Okay, except the guy sent him this offer: 1.02, 1.03, 2.02, a 25 second, and a 26 second. So
I just got number 6.
I just got number 6.
And you just got number 6.
Shit.
And that's where.
Well, it was Najee Harris.
Najee Harris in the 6th pick. So I got a replacement and blah blah blah. But
with that being said,
it was definitely one of my saddest trades.
Yeah,
of the year.
The reason why I bring that up is because our next talking point is going to be the 2021 QB class. So
the shit show is what I like to call it.
5 quarterbacks, I think, taken in the top 15.
Yeah.
And at least in our league, you had Lawrence, Fields, Lance, and
Mac
Mac
Mac Jones.
Jones win the second.
Did
But
he go
we'll
in second?
Did he go in the second?
In our league, he did. He
Really
went
second?
2 points.
And then in our fantasy draft, I was like, I don't.
Sorry,
Okay.
and I'm going to bring up a point. So Lawrence so it went Lawrence, Zach Wilson,
Zach Wilson, yeah.
Zach Wilson, yeah.
Justin Fields went at 4 or 5. Trey Lance went at 6.
Was it 6 or did they
Was it 6 or did they move up to 2
No.
to
I'm
take
talking
him?
about our fantasy league.
Oh, I was about to say, see, I'm
I'm still
Sorry,
talking. I'm still thinking real draft.
I'm going straight through on fantasy purposes because this.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah,
this QB class reminds me of this QB class. You have the one guy, Trevor Lawrence, Caleb Williams, who was deemed a generational talent. Then you have the mobile quarterback, Jaden Daniels. I compared to Justin Fields. Drake May is arguably kind of like Zach Wilson. Drake May played what?
Doesn't like that
2
comparison.
years at UNC.
He's going to have a better career
yeah,
than
I think
Zach
he's
Wilson.
a better quarterback.
I can do that.
But Trey Lance, you're looking at someone like I know you like Bo Nix a lot, but he's like a Bo Nix. And I think Mac Jones and J.J. McCarthy are the same.
I'm telling you, Bo's going to rip the fucking scene off. He's going to say, what the hell are y'all doing?
But no, this is my point. How many of these quarterbacks outside of Justin Fields' season 2 years ago were any of these guys a top 10 fantasy quarterback? Never. So
Never.
Take what we say with a grain of salt, because Caleb Williams could be a huge bust and never should be taken at 1. But it's like in real life, you got to take him if you have that pick, because you're the idiot who didn't take him if he turns into a Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm. Right, and that's what it is. I mean, listen, I'm that guy. If I had the very first pick in any draft, any rookie draft, I would not be taking Caleb Williams. I'd be that idiot. I'd eat it with a grain of salt if it happened.
You would take Marvin Harrison Jr. That's who you would take.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, and here's what I feel like in this class, the quarterbacks are probably a little closer in skill level than the receivers are. So,
that could be argued. I think Malik Neighbors is underrated. I think Adunze could be if he goes to Arizona, could be a Larry Fitzgerald. I think he could be a long tenure,
great route runner,
physical slot. Yeah, I think so. I do like Brian Thomas Jr. I like Xavier Worthy. This wide receiver class is going to be hot in the first round.
It's definitely deep, but I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is above and beyond the best receiver.
He's the clear favorite. He's the clear best. Yes, I agree. But I think, like I said, I think Neighbors is underrated. I think there's going to be a couple of good ones, but I mean, I think he's the solidified number one.
Yeah, if I had one pick, it depends on what league I'm in. If I'm in a 1 QB league, I'm taking Marvin Harrison Jr. all day. If I'm in a 2 QB league or a super flex, I'm probably taking a quarterback. I would probably go Caleb Williams, or I would try to trade out. If you have it, you're in a dynasty. I would trade out of it and try to get like 2 or 3 and maybe 7 or 8, because you might be able to sneak in like a Drake May or a Jane Daniels and get a Malik Neighbors and a Dunze. You know, I'm all about it. I would rather have quality at all positions than a stud at one position.
Yes,
because I think you just have a more consistent scoring.
Yeah.
So
and that's where I'm at.
And that's where I'm at. So rumor has it right now, and if it happens, it happens. Whatever it is. Okay.
Apparently, like you said
about the Cowboys earlier, why they've kept quiet. Blah blah blah. Okay.
We talked about this.
We talked about this last night.
I do think it is a
potential trade.
What they
would have to give up for it is questionable.
But the
rumor is right now is we all know that Stephon Diggs has been unhappy in Buffalo.
To the Cowboys would be dangerous. Very dangerous.
Yes, and I agree with the fact of get the Diggs brothers, brother, whatever you want to do. I agree. However,
again, what
are you going to have to give up?
Is it draft
capital this year? Because again, you've done nothing in free agency so far, and if you give up draft capital, well, how are you going to replenish your roster?
And the thing is if there's players that they do like, if they traded, say they got rid of a first round pick this year,
right,
for Diggs and just that pick, pick was valued at $11 million at that pick spot a year, they would then free up $11 million in cap space. So they could go sign a player or two. So it's all about.
If you, I mean, the slide earlier about who they're paying in the next few years.
Well, you definitely want to do that trade. I would
Dak
give up
Prescott,
more
who's
to have
next
Buffalo
year's.
keep his contract. Hey, we're going to give you a first, but you're going to keep all of his contract.
Buffalo's going to.
Yeah, I don't see. Yeah, the Buffalo's going to want to rebuild too, but Buffalo can't
so-
afford to
I
keep
mean,
that
I don't-
contract.
You're going to have to.
You're going to have to overpay. You're going to have to overpay for Stephon, or because you're going to. Well, I mean, you're just going to have to take his contract.
My thing is.
But where my thing is
signings that are coming up.
with all those signings that are coming up, you're putting now Diggs in that
Tiffany tried to call me
because
during
he
the
needs an
podcast.
extension.
You got Dak.
You got Dak coming up next year. CD, Zach Martin.
If you add Diggs in that
And like I said, if you add Diggs in that conversation, and then you guys just picked up Micah Parsons' fifth-year option, but he's in 2025. I mean, you got a lot of big contracts coming up. Brandon Cooks is probably one of the most underrated wide receivers I've witnessed in the last decade, probably, I'd say. If you look it up, he had 1,000-yard receiving year every single season except for last year when he was in Dallas.
So
you just got to get used.
I mean, you just got to get used properly. CD can't do it all, but you got all these contracts coming up. You're trying to give Dak Prescott the Gucci, Prada, and the goddamn moon for winning you regular season games, and it just doesn't make sense. Like I said, it's like you're in a toxic relationship, and because you definitely have a type.
CMC is going to be challenged. Well, because Cowboys are probably going to bring back Zeke on a 1-year deal, modified, and he'll be their back for a year.
That's who I think is just going to end up being the running back year.
Really quick. I think CMC could be challenged for that number 1 running back spot. I think Barkley is going to be up there, and I think Derrick Henry is going to be up there. I think that's going to be big.
And listen, and everybody's like, "Oh, well, you're just saying that because he's in Philly." No, I mean, if it's the facts. I mean, the guy.
You're getting a top tier back behind a really good offensive line with a bunch of weapons and a good quarterback.
Absolutely, yeah. You go from one of the worst offensive lines to one of the best, and I mean, you just open his holes wider at that point, and at that point, he does what he does best in open space. I know there's a lot of, and I've touched on this before. There's a lot of weapons. Obviously, somebody's year is going to get hurt, per se. Do I think that Smith and Brown both can be 1,000-yard receivers again? Yes, I do. Do I think Barkley can have a 1,000-yard season? I think he can have a 1,200-yard season.
And I think he could have a 1,210. I really do. He could probably catch.
I mean, it's rushing, and that's just. I'm just saying, just rushing yards. I'm not adding receiving yards on top of that. I mean, like I said, Jalen hypothetically could go for 45 touchdowns this year.
Barkley might catch.
I mean,
40, 50 balls for 400, 600 yards, rush for 1,200. I mean, that's dominant.
Yeah. And then you got Devontae Parker, who's going to give you a solid 500. Dallas Goedert probably give you about solid 8.
Yeah, if healthy,
I mean, if healthy, Jalen could throw for 4,000, 4,500. I mean, he could. That's the most accusation that I'm actually stoked about. Okay, it has nothing to do with the players. Kellen Moore, as our offensive coordinator, I think is going to open up everybody's eyes to where, wow, we really can do this. Wait a minute, what? I mean, he's one of the most young, creative offensive minds. I mean, and that's me saying because he came from Dallas.
Here,
I mean, when he was in there, they're one of the highest scoring teams.
Now let's
knows
talk
offense.
about that. I just thought of a point we'd asked who the number 1 quarterback was, and I never gave mine. I think it could be Josh Allen this year, and here's why. Here's why.
I don't. Especially if Diggs leaves,
their defense is trash.
100%.
So what are they going to have to do?
100% trash.
Throw the ball. We're not talking about. We're not
who
talking
to who.
It's Josh Allen. It doesn't matter to who. If he throws for 300 yards a game and throws for 35 plus touchdowns and rushes for 600-700 yards like he does, you could look at that 400, 500 almost points, depending on what your scoring system is. I think him and Mahomes are going to battle for that number one fantasy spot. So,
yeah, I mean, like I said.
Yeah, I mean, that's like I said. I mean, it's not me being biased. It's really not. But if you look at the way that it potentially could be, I would, if I had to pick a 1 and 2, it would be Mahomes and Hurts.
Okay, I'll give you those 3 because I do think Allen, just for the sole fact that they're going to be playing from behind.
I'll give you the 3. Yeah, because Josh Allen, I mean, he's going to be up there regardless. He's a top 3, if not top 5 quarterback. I mean, I get it, but at the same time, the Bills' window is definitely closed. The Bills' window was closed last year, I think. That's just is what it is. They waited too long. They didn't get Josh Allen the help he needed. Stephon Diggs wasn't enough. Gabe Davis is a wide receiver 3 or 2 and best in my mind.
So I think the Bills. It depends on what they get for Diggs. It depends on what else they sign. If they can do anything, they had to cut a bunch of cap space. So, let's end this on a good note. Let's end this on a funny note. So we have this little fun facts. We're gonna end it on a fun fact. Got to press the right button.
I like fun facts.
This might be
fun fact football.
We're gonna go into Randy Moss. Never played a college game where he didn't score. That, along with Derrick Henry rushing for 2,000 yards in all stages of football, the 2 most incredible stats that I have ever seen.
I was about to say, I don't know if anybody really knew that, but Derrick Henry has ran for 2,000 yards in high school, college, and the NFL. Correct. Only player to ever do that. You talk about Barry and you talk about these other running backs, but that's nuts. Also, the Brandon Cooks one, I kind of threw that in there a little early, but has had 1,000 yards receiving in every season until he got to Dallas that second year. So, I mean, he's played with quarterbacks like where do you play? Houston and New England.
I think he played. He was in New England.
I think he played. He was in New England because that was the Malcolm Jenkins hit that knocked him out. Right.
I'm pretty sure he played in New England.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he played in New England. So he may have a ring.
Fact for us next week. Like I said, we're going to do our first NFL mock draft. We'll have it ready, posted. We'll discuss it. Why we think players will go where. It'll be no trades, so it'll be as if the Bears keep the number 1 overall pick.
Hey, last thing.
Another goat
Aaron
retired.
Donald. Yep.
Aaron Donald.
I love Kyler Murray's tweet.
Aaron Donald.
Thank God.
Yeah, I know.
When I mean, everybody's. Trust me, everybody's like, speaking of, my favorite Aaron Donald moment, I got to share this. They were playing Seattle. I think it was not last year, but the year before. Geno had just became the quarterback. And I remember watching this game, but Aaron Donald came around the backside and did a end around and came around and started blitzing. Well, he came out of nowhere, and Geno was getting, he was cocking back. He was ready. And all of a sudden, you just see him let it loose, and they caught him on a ref mic.
Oh, my God.
And he was like, oh, my God. And he just threw it. Like, it was like a freight train coming at you.
The video that just came out of when he was at Pitt, and he breaks into the backfield, and the caption is, when you don't know who has the ball, you tackle both the quarterback and the running back. And that's what he fucking did.
Listen,
that's it. I mean, listen, this guy's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
He's the only
he's the only defensive tackle that I've ever seen triple teamed and still get through to the quarterback.
He's a monster.
He's an animal. He's a monster. He's set. I got to remember right, but I was watching it last night. He tied Lawrence Taylor for being the only defensive player to have 10 Pro Bowls in 10 seasons, in their first 10 seasons. And then he joined somebody else.
I mean, just the guy.
Yeah, I can't remember, but I mean, just the guy. The guy's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I mean, this next Hall of Fame class could
Agreed.
be nutty. Jason Kelsey, Aaron Donald. I mean, the greatness that has left the NFL this year. The NFL's just been nuts. It's not going to be noticeable next year.
When we come back next week, we're going to have our first NFL mock draft. We are also going to have who we think are the top 10 players in Dynasty rookie drafts. And we'll have that draft order out. And obviously, this all depends on where they go and so on and so forth. So take it with a grain of salt. We're going based straight off talent level, who we think's what. So we'll come back next week. We'll have some more fun facts. A little more fantasy.
Next week, I think we're gonna try and do live stream.
So we're gonna try that.
So we'll be doing our mock draft.
That's
live.
true. We will be doing the mock draft live.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll be starting about 8:30 Central Time next Saturday a.m. Hell yeah.
8:39.
Yep.
By
So we'll be
8:39,
going, ready to go. Until next time, guys.
All right. See ya. Have a good weekend.
All right. See ya. Have a good weekend.